Hey Juhi, thanks for joining us today. You are a dietitian. Can you tell us a bit what it entails to be a dietitian?
Yep, absolutely. So, a dietitian is basically a food and nutrition professional. So, what we do as dietitians is we use our knowledge of food and nutrition and we apply it to manage various health conditions. So, every health condition has a certain nutrition management plan, and we use that knowledge and apply it to figure out a nutrition management plan for each patient based on their medical condition. So we study for 5 years. So I've done a master's in nutrition and dietetics. Um, and the information that we give to patients is evidence-based and it's reliable. So it's not the information that you get from Dr. Google, but it's the correct information that can actually help you manage your condition.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. So I'm guessing usually the clients you're working with have a lot more control over what they can eat than people who are in hotel quarantine.
Yeah, that's true. So it is a little bit tricky, given in the hotel, you sort of, just you have to have the meals that's being provided to you. But I don't think that it's entirely that bad because I have sort of seen some of the meals that are being provided by the hotel, and they usually do give they do give some healthy options. So they do give things like whole grain sandwiches. They do give certain grainy foods like brown rice and couscous are always part of the meals. They always give snacks in the meal, so they give things like fruit, and they do include sort of sweet-based snacks as well. So they usually give like muffins and chocolates and things like that. So they do give you a variety. So it's not all bad. I think the main thing is sometimes the meals can be quite large in portions. So for example, if a meal has a chocolate and a muffin, I think the best idea is to probably space it out. You may also want to keep that piece of fruit as a snack in between the meals. So as long as you're sort of spacing it out, you can manage to still eat in a typical sort of healthy way. I think what's important is to not be stressed about it being perfect. So it may not be exactly the way that you'd want to eat or the way that you eat at home. And I don't think that's really a problem because as long as you're staying well nourished and you're eating as much as you require, that's really important because you don't want to be sort of eating less and then feeling low. And I think it's hard enough that you're in like a room for 2 weeks, so the last thing you want to do is to skip any meal. So I think as long as you can sort of um, you know eat every meal that's being provided and space out things if the portions are large, you'd still be fine. Like, I wouldn't worry too much. I think the hotel does give you a few good options.
With the options available, how can students decide on the healthiest option?
I mean, I'm guessing you don't have too much of flexibility in terms of what's being provided. I do understand that if you have certain dietary restrictions, so if you're a vegetarian or you're a vegan or you need to be gluten free, then that the hotel should be able to cater for that. But apart from that, they're going to have like a fixed menu, and you need to sort of adhere to that. So I think again, the main thing is just if the portions are large, if you can just space it out. So in a normal circumstance, if you're not going to be having the two sweet snacks that they provide. So they're going to give you like a muffin and a chocolate, and in a normal circumstance, you're not going to be having those two in the same meal. Then you need to do the same thing even when you're in the hotel. You need to be like, okay, this is not what I normally do. So I'm just going to probably have one snack right now and another snack another time. I think it's important to, in the best way possible, cover your sort of different nutrition groups. So if they're giving you like a whole grain sandwich, you have that in your meal, and then you have a fruit another time. So you're sort of, for example, at least covering your fruit intake on a daily basis. You're at least getting that one piece of fruit every day. And you're getting some amount of whole grains, which is really important for your fiber intake on a daily basis. So some of it might not be so healthy, some of it is healthy. You make sure you do have the healthy options and just work around the not so healthy options.
Some people opt for food deliveries like Uber Eats or Menulog. What are some healthy food delivery options?
So with Uber Eats and Menulog, they do have they definitely do have some restaurants that will give you some healthy options. So, for example, if you want to do like salads, you can order from Sumo Salad. So, Sumo Salad has some good salad options with good quality protein as well. So, if you want to do like a meal of some sort, then like ordering like a chicken salad or a vegetarian salad can be an option. I think even options like Vietnamese is a good option. So they do like rice paper rolls, and Vietnamese actually do low carbohydrate rice paper rolls as well. So those could be good options. Or you might do Japanese. So Japanese do things like sushi rolls, and that could be a good option as well. And I think what's good is things like sushi rolls and rice paper rolls and salads are portion controlled. So you just have it at that one meal, and then that's it. So there's not a lot of leftovers, and all of that is not really a problem. And they're healthy and they're calorie controlled. So if you did like, if you felt like having a meal from outside and you did two salmon and avocado sushi rolls, for example, then that's definitely like a healthy option. So I think if you're picking and choosing, the healthy options from that vast list on Uber Eats and Menulog, then you're gonna be just fine.
In some cultures, meal times are very different from the norm in Australia. Does timing actually matter?
So I know there's a lot of information out there that you need to eat your meal at particular times. I don't necessarily believe that there's a particular fixed time by which you need to eat a meal, but I do think it's better that you eat your meals according to your sort of body's circadian rhythm. So your body has a certain body clock, which we call circadian rhythm, which controls your hormone levels and it controls your metabolism. So if you sort of eat according to that cycle, then that's what's going to sort of keep you healthy. The biggest example is people who are shift workers and they eat in the completely opposite time. They tend to have quite a few problems with weight gain and gastric issues and things like that. So the main thing is if you're eating breakfast around breakfast time, lunch around lunchtime, around reasonable time. So let's say breakfast, is around say even 9 to 11, like even if we just keep like a broad time gap, or lunch is around 12 to 1, and then dinner is around um, you know 6 to 8, for example. um, then that's fine. I think the important thing is to not be skipping meals, because this is a time where you might feel like a little bit low, and you might think, okay, I'm just going to skip breakfast. And then that's what causes you to sort of graze the later half of the day. And that's what you want to avoid. So you want to make sure you're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you want to make sure you're having it at a reasonable time so that your body clock is sort of in sync with that. And risk of gastric issues and weight gain and things like that is reduced.
And can you tell us a bit about diet and sleep? Are there any foods that can help you beat jet lag or maybe make you feel asleep easier?
So I think with sleep, what's important is that you avoid caffeine, particularly close to your bedtime. And throughout the day, you keep your caffeine intake on a low, because there is evidence that caffeine does affect the way your melatonin hormone works in the body. So your melatonin hormone that's responsible for good sleep is affected by too much caffeine. So yes, you can have coffee, but I would keep it to no more than 4 cups of coffee a day, and definitely not close to bedtime. Another thing is that you could have some sort of a relaxing tea before you go to sleep. So I think most hotel rooms should have some sort of a kettle and tea bags potentially. So if you have access to something like chamomile tea, you can have that potentially before you sleep, and that can sort of help relax you and help to put you to sleep. Um, and then the other point that I would say is that avoiding having sort of large meals before you sleep is important. So keeping a dinner a little bit on the lighter side is better. Even if you're going to do takeaway, um, doing it for lunch is probably better than doing it for dinner, because if you have a really big meal before you go to sleep, then your body is just busy digesting your food rather than allowing you to go to sleep. So I mean, I don't think there are necessarily uh, too many foods that potentially put you to sleep, but I would say that keeping your coffee on a low, using some of these relaxing teas, um, technically even milk, having a glass of milk is something that contains a amino acid called tryptophan, which does put you to sleep. But I don't know how one has access to something like that in the hotel room, whether you get access to a glass of warm milk. I don't know. But if something like that is possible, then having a glass of warm milk before sleeping can also help. And I think apart from food, it's important to also think about other things. So think about doing like a little bit of moderate, gentle exercise during the day, whether it's yoga. I actually saw a video of a guy just, walking from one end of the hotel room to the other in terms of exercise. So even just keeping yourself active during the day, doing some gentle exercise, trying to sleep at reasonable time. So when you're jet lagged, your sleep cycle is reversed. So sort of forcing your body into having that very normal sort of sleep cycle, and eating according to the right time. So eating again, breakfast around breakfast time, lunch around lunchtime, and dinner around dinner time, can be really helpful. Getting that circadian rhythm in sync, and once that's in sync, then your sleep cycle is probably going to be in sync as well.
If people choose to order in snacks and drinks using food delivery services, what are some healthier options and what should they limit?
I think potentially one shouldn't be ordering a lot of snacks. I think if you do want to eat something as a takeaway meal, those salads and those other options that I discussed earlier are fine. But in terms of snacks, because the hotel does provide you with fruits and sweet snacks, there really is no need to be ordering in snacks. But I think if you do sort of need some sort of extra snacks, then things like nuts can be a good option. Whole grain crackers can be a good option. You could also buy some dips that don't need to be stored away in a fridge. So things like peanut butter, for example, you do get those sort of peanut butter small tubs, and you can get whole grain crackers, and that could be a snack or an extra piece of fruit or some nuts, if at all you need it. But I think in terms of um, the amount of food that's being provided by the hotel and the snacks that's provided with every meal potentially, minimizing the kind of snacks that you're ordering in is probably going to be better. And I think also the hotel rooms do provide coffee. So if you feel like you want like a quick pick me up, then having like a cup of coffee, using either the coffee sachets that they provide, or if they've got like a French press in the hotel room, then just going for a cup of coffee can sort of minimize your need to snack as much.
Sometimes changed routines and diets can impact our digestion. Do you have any tips here?
So I think that's a really, really important point. The last thing that you want is to be in that hotel room and be feeling sluggish and have things like constipation. So I think again, very big thing is to have your 3 meals a day, and to make sure that you're getting enough fiber in those meals. So if there is an option in the morning to start with a sort of high fiber breakfast cereal, so something like porridge or wheat bix or something like that, then that would be a really good way to get in some fiber quickly in the morning. And then you've got your piece of fruit. And anything that you're ordering in, if there's a way that you can order something that's high fiber, something that's uh, like your salads and things like that, then that can contribute to your fiber intake as well. So it may not be perfect, but you are getting some amount of fiber from different meals throughout the day, and that's what's going to keep you moving. It's really important to keep your fluid intake up. So it's easy to just forget to drink water. It's very easy, and even with the weather, it doesn't necessarily remind you to feel thirsty. So I think it's important to be drinking water throughout the day and aiming for those 6 to 8 glasses. Um, Hydration is really, really important to keep digestion going. So that's very important. Have sort of decently sized meals throughout the day instead of having 3 really big meals. You might think about spacing it out a little bit. So like I said, you might want to have like a piece of fruit in between your meals, or instead of having it along with the meal. And spacing it out that day can help your digestive system relax and do things at a bit of a slower pace rather than just overwhelming it with large meals. So that can be something that can help people sometimes. I think it's important to not go long hours without eating. So again, if you're keeping to your sort of eating schedule, then you won't be leaving long gaps in between your meals. and that can help your digestive system going as well. I think exercise is really important. So doing some sort of gentle exercise in your room is also very important. So I would say three golden rules: fiber, fluid, and exercise is really important. And just repeating, when it comes to fiber, uh, your whole grain breads and cereals, your fruits and your vegetables will allow you to get some good amount of fiber.
What about supplements? Do you usually need them? And what about during or after quarantine?
So in terms of supplements, it's usually only advised if you have some sort of a nutrition deficiency. So, for example, if you've got a vitamin D deficiency or if you've got an iron deficiency, and the doctor has recommended that you do take some sort of a supplement, then that's mainly the time that I would suggest you take a supplement. But otherwise, you don't really need to really be taking any special supplement. I think a lot of your nutrients you can just get it from food. So unless there's some sort of a deficiency and you've been advised to take a supplement, I don't think you really need them.
Thanks, Julie. That was so helpful. I think you gave us some great tips. Before we finish, what is your top healthy eating tip for students post-quarantine?
I think what's important is that once you sort of leave quarantine and you're going to go back to your regular schedule, I think it's important to slowly start thinking about things like food preparation. In the first few days out of quarantine, you still might feel a bit fatigued, and just getting used to going back to your normal day-to-day life. I think it can be a little bit of a transition. So I think slowly getting into your normal food prep and thinking about some quick meal options that you can do so that you don't sort of lose touch of preparing your own meals, because living in the hotel, everything was given to you, so now you need to sort of think about doing your own meal planning and meal prep. I think that's really important. I think it's important to not stress yourself out thinking about like, oh, I need to now go on this perfect diet, or I need to get back to vigorous exercise, because that may or may not happen. I mean, you need to give yourself a few days to adjust to things. I think we can never look at eating patterns in isolation. I think your mental health is very key here. So depending on how you're feeling, you're going to be that much more motivated to work on eating healthy. So I think it's important to give yourself some time to adjust, and slowly but surely get into the natural rhythm of things, and really start uh, to get started on your usual healthy eating pattern.
Great, thanks for joining us, Julie, and for that helpful information on eating well. How can students connect with you if they're interested in personalized dietary advice?
So I do work on campus. I work at Kensington Physio. So if you ever want to book a one-to-one consult with me, if you have any sort of nutrition concerns and you would like for me to give you an individualized plan, you can call up Kensington Physio. The number should be provided on the website. You can call them up and ask to book an appointment with me. If you're a student, you do get a rebate as well. So feel free to call up the clinic and book an appointment with me, and I'll be happy to see any of you for a individual one-to-one consult. You can also connect with me on Instagram and message me there, and I can guide you on how to book an appointment. You can find me on Instagram with the name No Dieting Dietitian. That's the name. So if you just type in No Dieting Dietitian, I just came up with that name because I just want to put it out there that dietitians don't believe in diets. We believe in overall nutrition and eating that's not restrictive. So if you just look that up, you'll find me on Instagram and you can connect with me there as well.
To everyone else, thanks for listening. We hope that you found this session useful and that you got inspired to make healthy food choices both in and post quarantine, and take care.